Hey guys, this is LukeMan97. Welcome back to another video on BeamNG.Drive. I know it's been a long time since I've posted, but my life is actually really busy recently. I work a lot and have school and stuff like that, so I don't really do YouTube as much anymore. But the one thing that I do promise to always do, as long as I can, is make a video every time there's a major update in BeamNG, because that's always been the main game on the channel. So, today, this is update 0.33 by the way, also known as the fall release because they do one for every season, so there's 4 a year. So 0.33 includes this new vehicle. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you. This is basically, you can call it, it's actually called the Gavril M70 series. Or, well, this one's a 60, MD60 and MD70 series. But in real life, this would be known as the Chevrolet Kodiak or the GMC Topkick. So basically, in all essence, what it is it's a line of medium-duty trucks. So we have the light-duty pickups in the Gavril D series, and then we have the heavy-duty semis in the T series. And the MD60 and 70 series is kind of to bridge that gap to have medium-duty trucks like this. So yeah. This is BeamNG's adaptation of the real-life Chevrolet Kodiak and GMC Topkick. Also, it's good to mention that this new vehicle here is very similar to a mod that has existed for a while called the Gavril Durham. So the Durham was kind of the same concept where it was a mid-duty, like, what do you call that? So there's a light duty D series, the heavy duty T series, like kind of like a middle duty truck like this. The Durham also kind of looked like the Topkick and the Kodiak, but now we have an official vehicle, so we don't need a mod anymore. Anyways, this is just one of the tanker configurations of the vehicle, but there's a lot of configurations, around like 20 or so. You go into the menu, you see there's just, you know, the normal chassis. There's actually one that has a fifth wheel, so if you wanted to pull like small trailers, it's only a single axle medium duty truck, so you're not going to want to pull too much, but you can pull smaller semi trailers. For some reason they made a pickup out of it. There's obviously flatbed, logging, dump truck, stuff you would expect. I don't know what to make of this. It's some sort of like weird configuration, honestly. There's like a couple cargo boxes, even a small tow truck, which you'd have to have a really small car probably to fit it on there. The tankers, there's like kind of an off-road tanker, a really customized one, and then there's a couple like off-road configurations which are kind of nice if you want to go off-road. And there's a ram plow, which of course you can't have a medium duty or heavy duty truck without a ram plow. They have ambulance versions, because if you didn't know, in real life they did use the Topkick and the Kodiak for some ambulances back in the day. And then they have the off-road ambulance for some reason. But the pre-facelift version of the truck, like this kind, that has more like the flat grill, that kind of represents the 70s and 80s Topkick and Kodiak, the first generation. That's what that looked like. Now the facelifted version, which is this one right here, kind of represents the 90s version of the Topkick, which was the second generation where they did this. And then there's a third generation of the Topkick that was in production until 2009 when they discontinued both of those, but they did not include this in the game. They only included the first two. So with the new physics, you can now pop the hood, so it has kind of like a medium duty engine under the hood, much bigger than a normal D series engine, but also smaller than a T series, so kind of fits the truck. Inside, the cab honestly looks kind of similar to a D series, except being bigger, obviously. The instrument cluster is also a bit different than a D series. You have different switches in here that you can turn for trailer brakes, normal brakes, differential, stuff like that. So yeah, the cab's pretty similar to a D series, but also is much bigger, of course. So yeah, it's nice to have a medium duty truck in the game now. We didn't used to have this other than mods. But enough about that. The reason we're in West Coast today is because they've made a couple improvements to the West Coast map as well. So You remember over in this little industrial area how they have this shuffleboard garage that you can drive into. In fact, I think that was the last update that they improved it where you could drive into it now. In fact, I think those lights work at night. Well, they don't shine, but they do work. Anyways, over here, I forget what building used to be here, but it was some sort of like closed off building that you couldn't go into or anything. But now they've put this shuffleboard building here, so it kind of connects with that as far as the company. And now you can, pull up to the dock, unload stuff. There's even a ramp over here where you can pull inside. It's more of an open concept building. And also, I think these stacks of containers over here are new. So that's a nice touch, especially since this is kind of a shuffleboard area with this thing too. So that's very, very useful. Another thing is, and I'm just going to fast travel for this because it would take too long to get over there. I'm just going to quick travel over to the island. So what they've done here is they have added a shuffleboard thing to the island as well, which, again, I didn't pay much attention to this area on the island, so I have no clue if there used to be a building here, if this is completely new, or if there was a building and they just replaced it, but they now have a shuffleboard building here on the island too, which is a nice touch because, I'm sure they would have outposts as a company. Also, it's worth mentioning that this building does not have an interior that you can drive into or anything right now. It's probably because it's a newly added building that they weren't able to put an interior, but I'm sure in future updates, maybe the winter release, they'll tweak this and make it more open where you can go into it. But it's still nice to have a shuffleboard on the island. As far as the MD series, I just wanted to mention the engine sounds like this. Obviously a diesel engine, so a little bit more robust sounding than the D series, but also not as big as the T series. While we're on the topic though of West Coast improvements, it's worth mentioning they did make a couple improvements, they said, to the tunnel lanes, so coming in and out of the island. So I don't really notice a whole lot of changes, but they said they reworked this a bit, so that's always good to hear. Other than that, in West Coast, I think just some normal bug fixes and improvements. I know in Chinatown, which I don't know if we go there if we can see it, but I know they said in Chinatown they replaced the signage with accurate Chinese signage, so that might be something worth looking at. I think you can fast travel on the map. So let's see. Yeah, you can see the accurate Chinese signage that's now here, so that's kind of a nice touch. If you didn't know, West Coast is kind of, honestly, like San Francisco. That's kind of what the map is based on. I used to think it was based on Los Angeles, but I think it's more San Francisco because San Francisco has that, that's not the Golden Gate Bridge, but it has that same bridge that goes out to an island. San Francisco also has Chinatown, obviously, and stuff like that, so I think it's more a San Francisco-based map. I think that's about it for West Coast improvements. They probably fixed a couple bugs and whatnot. A few smaller things worth noting about the update is that they said they added some new parts for the Hirochi Sunburst and Hirochi SBR4, which I'm not going to take the time to go into, but they said they added a couple more parts for, let me find them, for these two vehicles here. So that's always good. And they also added a new tool to make roads better. I think it's called the Road Distributor tool. I might have said that wrong, and I might be wrong about that, but there is a new tool that helps you lay out roads better if you're building a map, which I do not build any maps, so that's not really a good thing for me. But for all you map designers out there, that'll be a good thing. The other small thing worth mentioning probably is there was obviously quite a bit of bug fixes, I'm guessing. And the only other thing I can think of with this update was they did stage 3 of the T-Series revamps. So there was a couple stages of T-Series revamps. It took them a while to get it going good. But basically what they did this time is they added some more like short bases. So let me find those real quick. As you can see, they added like a really short base here. I think it's new, honestly, because they've always had like the single axle really short base options, but now they have tandem axle really short bases, so that's kind of a nice feature. Another thing they also added is to the T series would be the tri-axle version, if I can find it. It's going to be probably down here somewhere. Right here. So now we get to have 3 wheels, tri-axles. Well, this would be, so you know, if you want to haul some like really large and heavy loads, you can just use this configuration, because it has 3 wheels, which is honestly kind of cool. I never had that before. One more thing they added to the T-Series was they now added a raisable wheel. So, you know, when you're going down the road and you see these trucks that have this wheel that you can raise up and down, well, now they've added that, and you can actually move it, I believe. Because, you know, when you have a heavier load, you put it down, but when you don't, there's no reason to. So, that's what that is. So, by pressing, well, for me it's 0 because I'm on a keyboard, you can lower the wheel, like so. You can see it's lowered now. You can kind of hear like an air hiss when you do so. And then when you drive, the wheel turns with all the others. And then when you're done with it and you want to raise it back up, you just press the button again. You hear the air hissing, and you see the wheel slowly raised back up to where when you move, it's not turned with the others anymore. So that's kind of a really nice feature, especially the air hissing. Makes it really realistic. The last thing they did to the T-Series was they made a double steer configuration. So this one's a little bit interesting, but basically what they did is, I think this is the only configuration, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the only configuration they did it on, the dump truck. So basically now they have a twin steer in the front, so when you turn, both wheels turn, which this is a thing in real life too. I've seen trucks that have twin steers in the front. I think it helps them turn better, so that's why they do it. But yeah, basically just double the steering, basically 2 axles in the front. So as you see, when I go around this corner, both wheels turn. And that is the point of it, I think, because I can tell this truck turns much sharper than if it just had 1 wheel. So that's always nice. Well, I crashed because I was going too fast. Anyways, that's stage 3 of the T-Series revamp. I believe that's the final stage. I don't think they're going to do any more to it. It's pretty fully revamped. So those were the 3 major things: the T-Series, the MD series, and the West Coast improvements to the buildings and whatnot. They didn't remaster a complete map this time, but they did improve West Coast, so I'm happy about that. And I'm really happy about getting the MD series medium duty truck, because that has been needed for a long time. We've had to download mods to get those forever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, the only small things were the parts added for those 2 vehicles, the road editor thing that makes it easier to make roads, and obviously the bug fixes that always happen. That's about it for this video, guys. I don't know when my next video will be, because like I said, I'm very busy, but you can count on it that I'll make a video every major BeamNG update if I can. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment down below. Also turn on notifications to my channel, and I'll see you in the next one.